Welcome to Reclaim Treasures. This is Connie, and I have 3 small projects for you today. Project number 1. I got this galvanized tab from Goodwill for $4 or $5. It's very sturdy. I took it outside, covered the handles, and I spray painted with 2 coats of white spray paint, and then I gave it 2 coats of clear spray paint. Then I picked through my transfers and I decided to go with a book, Catharina. I like those birds that they have a lot of blue and red, and I decided to go with a red, white, and blue theme. I want it to be kind of patriotic, but not, the typical flags and everything. I just want the colors. So I decided to put the birds in the middle, and I wanted the red roses on each side of the birds. So I was trying to rearrange. I changed them a few times, and I finally set my heart on one design. I measured to make sure the birds are in the middle of the tub. I put the larger roses on the right side. I trimmed what I don't need because the birds are going to be on top. So you have to think of what goes underneath and where. So I start laying the transfers down with the stick that they come. I started from the top. There is some grooves there, and unavoidably you're going to have a few cracks that I'm going to correct later with paint. I lay the transfers down, and I decide what I want it to be in the background because these have to go down first. The flowers that are going to show closer to you, they'll be the last ones that you're going to put down. The same with the birds. So I try to do my best where the grooves are. And the roses on the left, they were a little bit smaller than the ones on the right. So I had to add some buds and some leaves to make the part of the bouquet a little bulkier. So you can see the big difference between the two. Also, their leaves were a little more delicate. So I tried to bulk it up a little bit. On the back side, I decided to go with peach. I wanted to for people to be able to use it in different seasons. So the peach can be year-round just about. The red can be around holidays. And I added some blue violets from a different IOD book. So I still follow the red, white, and blue theme. I'm correcting here with paint all the cracks, and I added a red trim to the top and the bottom on the edge of the tub to make it pop a little bit more. And when done, I took it outside and I gave it another 2 coats of clear spray to seal the transfers. I took out my tape from the handles, and here it is. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think of it. Project number 2. It's a box. I got a few from Goodwill for a couple bucks. This is a Lane, and back in the day, Lane Company used to use those as a sample for their trunk boxes. That one had some acid ate the finish, so I wanted to sand it pretty good and make it smooth. Those little cedar boxes, they're hard on me. Sometimes they bleed really bad, sometimes they don't. This one was a bad bleeder. I took out all the hardware. There was a lock there that I took out off camera. I also filled the holes and sand them smoothly. And I decided to go with Rose paper, and I'm going to use the bottom middle image. With my water pen, I scored and I cut the image, and I trimmed it to size. Before I lay it down, I'm going to put 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Bonding Boss. I thought it might have been enough to cover that bleeding, but it was not. So right in the middle, after the first coat was dry, I decided to put 2 coats of shellac because it turned pink, as you can see. The moment the water hit the wood start turning. So I completely took it apart. I put 2 coats, let it stay overnight, and then I put 2 coats of the Little Lamb by Fusion that has a primer and a sealant. So that's a beautiful color. Actually, it was my first time using it, and I was very happy with it. I didn't paint the top because I needed the white color to be underneath the image, so the image can stay bright. I measured to put it in the center, and I used Dixie Belle's top coat in satin to decoupage it. I lightly sprayed the image on both sides, and I laid down. That way you can avoid wrinkles. I dried with my hair dryer, and I'm using the wreath from this mold that is a copy of the IOD mold. You guys, if you're gonna get this mold, get it from IOD because it's a pain to use the copy that I got from Temu. So I pushed my dash hair dry clay in and I made the images from the Laurel there. They fit pretty nice. I only had to trim the little dot at the beginning, the very bottom, you can say, so there is only 1 instead of 2, and they can fit much better that way. I glue them down with my Titebond quick and thick glue. And I let them dry overnight. I cleaned the excess glue with a wet brush. Here is the difference between the IOD on the right and the Temu fake, or you can say copy of it. So it is worth buying the real thing. So I'm using IOD's Trimmings 1 to put a trim around the box. This one has also a Laurel in a smaller version, smaller scale. I really like it, and I think it looks very complementary to the one I put on top. Gave it a little more pizzazz, you can say. I use again the glue to glue everything on. I clean the edges from the excess glue that oozed out. IOD molds, they're meant to fit together perfectly, and these will fit perfect together, as you can see. And clean again as you go. After the molds were dry, I start painting them with the same color, the Little Lamb by Fusion. And I will use the same color to tap on my box all over. First of all, that would close any gaps or any cracks that you might have, but also gives it another dimension. You can add baking soda to the color or sea spray to give it more texture, but I didn't want that. I want it to be soft texture just to look more three-dimensional, have a little depth to the paint. And also to feel if there is any cracks between the wood and the mold. Usually after they dry out, they shrink a little bit. I had these 4 little pieces of wood, and I'm going to paint them the same color. I'm going to use them as legs. I didn't want anything too tall. I just wanted to elevate it just a tiny bit. And now, when the molds are dry, I paint them over with the same color. When that was dry, I started painting the feet with gilding wax, give it a little sparkle. And I'm gonna glue them at the bottom. And I will turn that box around and put the can of paint in and let it stay until they dry. In the meantime, I'm using white wax in the molds, and I want that white wax to go deep down into the grooves of the molds. I wipe off the excess up to a point where it looks good to me. And I will use the same all over the box and wipe again. That gives it another dimension as well, because we put the 2 coats of the topping paint and it catches in the low points, and that way you give an extra kind of dimension. I did that all over, inside and out. And then I remembered I had cast some molds from Redesign with Prima's mold, and I'm going to use that Ego. I spray painted gray. I had some gray paint, and now I'm using again the white wax. I'm going to follow the same procedure like I did on the molds on the top of the box, and wipe out, of course, whatever excess. I'm going to use my clamp there to attach it to and let it dry. Now I'm using crackle on the image, and I don't know how I missed the first application. That was the second one. It comes in with 2 bottles, number 1 and 2. And after the one is dry, you put the second component. And until that is dry, I'm using gilding wax for the trim on the lid and on the box. Then when the crackle appears, I use that gold paste to give it more, make the crackle show more. I wish my paste was a little darker because it doesn't show as much, but I was happy with it. I put it a couple times on, and this is how it ended up looking. I used the same gold gilding wax for the hardware, and I put a gray felt on the inside. I hope you guys like it. Let me know. Project number 3, I wanted to make a heart out of those boards. I designed a heart on top of a cardboard, and I'm trimming it. I folded in half to trim it so both sides can be exactly the same. And I'm going to score it on top of those boards. I should have connected them before, but I didn't. And I draw the heart on it. Now I'm going to cut that piece of wood in the dimension of the heart so I can attach all the boards together. Well, as you're going to see, my nails were not long enough to hold it. So I'm going to glue everything on that board and tap those nails back in place to hold the boards together. I also going to use screws, and I'm going to use the screws that I screwed the hangers, and I added a couple more. And it was pretty secure, except some of the boards were kind of warped a little bit. I had them outside, so I used the brad nailer on the diagonal to put them together. I'm going to cut the heart shape with my jigsaw, and I don't know what happened there. I think my camera kind of slide down, so you can see while I'm cutting. And then, of course, I sanded everything with my mouse sander. That board was, again, a little warped, so I gave it a couple more nails to secure it. And then I put some antiquing wax. I put it a couple times. I diluted a little bit. Put it on a couple times until I liked the depth of it. Then I had this wreath with a rustic star that I bought from Goodwill. It was a whole bag of things like that for $5. I made a hole in the wood, and I ran those wires down to the back, and I secured them. Kind of twist them around, and later I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue there to secure them completely. I did the same thing on the bottom. And that was a very easy project. I had another one a few days ago that sold the same day I put it out in my booth, so I decided to create another. Here I am putting some glue, so that way it's not going anywhere. And I added the metal wire later off camera. I had another small rustic star, and I added to the big star just for a little more interest. And this is how it ended up looking. I hope you liked that project too. Let me know which one was your favorite. Let me know if you guys gonna go anywhere for the holidays. Are you ready for the big day? Well, I hope you all have fun, and until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.